Welcome to Into the Multiverse, a DC Comics podcast, episode 3, I believe.
I think
And
so.
yeah, I'm joined by my co-host, of course, comics lead Jared,
What's
aka
up?
aka the Snyderverse bro, the guy who's wearing the Snyderverse t-shirt. Let's go.
I got my armor. I got my armor.
He's got his armor. Yeah, so guys, it's got a great show to talk about today. We'll be talking about Superman Legacy, The Flash, My Adventures with Superman, Tomorrowverse, This Week's in Comics, and so much more. So, without further ado, let's kick things off, shall we? And we shall kick things off with. Let me just timestamp this. Um, we're gonna kick things off with the Flash movie review.
Okay.
So this will be a non-spoiler and spoiler review.
We'll let you know when we get into spoiler territory.
Yeah, when we get into spoiler territory, then we'll let you guys know. Um, but yeah, so Jared, firstly, shall we talk about what did you think of the movie?
I very much enjoyed this movie. Like, wow. They did stuff in this movie that I never expected them to do. They the, they reference stuff from DC's history that I never expected. Like, this movie is really a love letter to all of DC. Like, they reference everything, and it is just so it's so cool, and it respects it respects the past DC movies as well, which is very much what we want.
Mhm. Like
Yeah.
like everything that Flash did um in this movie was great. Like
And I know some people will bash the visual effects, and I'm like, there are some places where it looks a little funky, but a lot of the places that people are pointing to really overblown.
yeah, for sure. It's what intrigues me the most about this film. It's essentially like the time travel. Oh my god, the
Mhm.
time travel really piques my interest on
The
this.
Chrono Ball scenes when they're in that time coliseum thing.
Yeah, that was really cool. And there was references to not only Warner Brothers properties, but other IPs too, which was
Wait, there
great.
was references to a very specific cut of Justice League.
Yes, but there was also references to Back to the Future
Yeah. I love that. By the way,
and
now we're in the
all.
spoiler part. So there you go. I think Teladia just froze, but that's okay. In the meantime, I very much enjoyed the movie. I would give it a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. It was super fun. They. I'm trying to figure out what I can say without
Yeah,
being spoilery. But
go ahead.
it was a fun movie.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. Uh, without going into spoiler territory, yeah, it's like this film was great when it comes down to the dynamic between the two Barrys. Kara Zor-El stand out really well. And what
Oh
surprised
yes,
and by the way, Michael Keaton's Batman surprised me the most.
he was so great.
He surprised me the most because we all thought a 70-year-old Batman wouldn't be able to kick ass. That's the best way to put it, right?
Hmm.
And he did in this film.
When
And
he fights Kryptonians, I'm like, oh.
I'm just like, wow. I couldn't believe it.
Hmm. Yeah, and Teladia has frozen again, which is all good, dude. Technical difficulties, everyone. We're just working through it, and yeah. So the
Yeah.
Flash was like, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Teladia.
No, I was gonna say that the Flash was just amazing uh when it comes down to this. It was a very well told story and very much interesting to find out what's coming up next for Ezra Miller
Hmm.
in the role of the Flash.
Yeah,
So shall we go over spoilers in the
yeah. All
next
right.
10 seconds? So we're giving
Five.
it 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is your
Spoiler.
spoiler talk right here at the 5-minute mark. So, shall we go over it?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, so what shall we kick it off with?
Well, let's just say that this movie basically canonizes Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yes, for sure.
Because watching it, they even have in the Chrono Ball scene, not only do they have the Superman punching, but I don't know if you noticed, they have the scene where Aquaman is pointing angrily at Barry.
Yes.
And when the Flash tells Bruce, I went back in time, he goes, like in Bajarnov. And I'm like, there's only one cut where even Iris West says, didn't I run into you at some point?
Yeah.
Like, if anyone tries to tell you that at the Whedon cut is the canon cut of Justice League for this movie, you're wrong.
You're wrong. Dead wrong.
Which I'm happy about because I can forget that the Whedon cut ever existed.
And this movie is canon. So that's great. Like, seriously.
Yeah, because why would you want to reference that other thing? But basically, I love the way this. By the way, I will say we had some really kick-ass Batfleck scenes in this movie. Like, oh my gosh! By the way, him killing people still in this movie. Just want to bring that up. He's throwing them out of moving to a busy freeway. Yeah, they're dead. But dude, that chase scene with the bat bike, that was dope.
Dude, that chase scene with the bat bike was amazing.
Yeah. And he jumps. He's like being dragged by the car. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then he's saved by Wonder Woman. And then I'm like, oh, no.
Oh, no. And Jared, we gotta ask Jared this question, guys. What does he think of the Wonder Bat scene?
This was one of those occasions. So I went with Lad. And Lad is like these other a-holes. And that he messes with me because he knows it makes me upset. Even he was like, yes. And I was like, no. But luckily, here's the thing. It was just like Wonder Woman saying, hey, and Batman saying, hey. It was really just that. So it's not, and it's only for like a second or two. So I'm like, okay, I can ignore that.
But still,
it's not that much to impact my enjoyment of the movie.
No, but it was
as
funny.
Much as you guys want it for content reasons, it doesn't affect my opinions of the Flash movie. It just doesn't.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Because that scene was just so dope. Anyway, it's just that scene on the freeway and the motorcycle chase. I was like, this is so. Particularly how they established Batfleck. It's like it opens into this like really dark like hangar of the Flying Fox. All of a sudden, you see his ears. Then it fades backwards, and you see like the engine of the Bat bike, and then like flies. The camera turns, and then Batman just rolls out of the ramp. I'm like, this is awesome.
Reminds you of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yes, exactly. It does. This whole movie felt up to Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, for those of you that are upset that it has jokes and it's not the same aesthetic as Zack. Zack didn't direct this movie.
Yes, he didn't direct this movie, but he did have aesthetics to Zack's vision to some degree.
And Zack never wanted to be the only one directing DC movies. Let's remember that. He said, I'm laying the foundation. I want other directors to be able to put their own spin on things. And Flash, you have to expect there's going to be jokes in this version of The Flash. Come on. The only thing I didn't like was the Batman caught in the lasso of truth, because that was too close to the other version of Justice League. I was like, that was a bit much.
A bit much, but it was
still funny. It's still funny.
For the lulz, it has to happen. You have to have that Wonder Bat scene for the sake of the fans.
No, it's not the Wonder Bat scene. It's the part of him. The part I'm objecting to is the part where he's like wrapped up in the lasso of truth. He's like, my ego's too big to ask people for help, and I'm like, oh god. It's still funny, but it's like, okay.
But you gotta remember, right? When it comes down to this film, Bruce says to Barry, "You could change things, and you could also break the timeline."
And I loved where he basically goes, take it from someone who's been alone for so long. And then even Batman goes, hey Bruce, your tragedy made you who you are. It also made me alone.
Yes.
I love that whole interaction between Barry and Bruce, and Barry actually says a little bit of the "I'm not broken, I'm not alone" line. He goes, "There's nothing about you that's broken, Barry."
Yeah.
I
And
just love this so much.
you know what was so cool about like going because we're in spoiler talk.
Hmm.
I think what also was cool is the fact that how Bruce Wayne in the alternate universe, Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne,
Hmm.
how he was first introduced, like long hair, beard,
He hasn't been
uh,
Batman for a long
a
time. It's
long time,
clearly.
yeah, and it's like, my God,
And by the way, I've always thought Michael Keaton was cool as Batman. This movie blew me away. Because remember, Batfleck is my
yeah,
guy. Keaton's like my number 2 favorite Batman. This one makes him tied with Batfleck because oh my gosh, he does stuff in this movie that I'm like, that is the most badass Batman thing I have seen.
yeah, and it's like it's amazing just to like see like him just kicking Barry, the two Barrys throwing
This
things,
the scene where he jumps out of the Batwing and you hear the da 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 da, and I'm like,
yeah.
yes, yes.
No, but before that,
Mhm.
when he's in the
Yeah.
kitchen,
Mhm.
he threw
Yeah.
a he threw, I think it was a
Frying pan. Isn't that a
frying.
reference to in
To,
ZSJL when Bruce threw the thing, the
yes,
batarang? I love
yes,
that.
I love how that's a reference to that, and
Speaking of which, I loved one of my favorite parts of the two Barry interactions when Barry goes, "That's why people think I'm annoying."
yeah,
Like he's on the other side of it now, and he's like, "Oh my
he's on the
gosh, this is
flip.
what people are talking about."
He People can understand it, and it's like it's great.
And Tamara Morrison showing up in this movie.
Oh my God.
That I did not see coming. And I love where he's like, "You're not married to an ocean princess." He looks over and it's like, "Yeah,"
No.
and then he's like, "No."
Yeah, it was crazy. And naming his dog after,
Naming his dog Arthur, so that's the way it works in this universe. And I guess Wonder Woman never
never.
left the island. Cyborg was never had the accident or anything like that. So I
and
like
S-
that alternate universe.
and Superman never existed.
No, he existed. He just never got to Earth.
He never got to Earth. Yeah.
We'll talk about that later in the review. But speaking of Super, Sasha Kaye's Supergirl, I really want more of her because I think she did a great job as Kara.
Yes, agreed. That's something we can agree on. Like
Here's the thing, Tell. Did you notice when they put her in the sun, you could actually see her hands becoming less like thin and gaunt. You could actually see the sunlight rejuvenating her.
yes.
Like visually, this movie did stuff that I've never seen in a DC movie. Well, probably because we've never seen Superman be that low solar energy.
Yeah, it but it was crazy just to see her just go Achoo! And blow one of the things off.
Yeah, I love that. And she had her own first flight, and I'm like, yay, first
Yay!
flight.
First flight. But
Zack Snyder's
Michael
the blueprint.
Yes, Zack Snyder is the blueprint, but she did have the Man of Steel type of score when she came back to the Batcave.
Which I'm fine. I like that because she is representing the Superman of this universe.
Yes.
But
Uh,
and I will say she was a badass, and when she took on Zod, I was like, yes. And if you
yes.
notice, this movie had very clear inspirations from Flashpoint, which is pretty obvious because Barry getting his powers back, being struck by lightning twice. And you notice, I was watching a review of Flash. This gave a origin for the Flash without doing a flashback because you have Barry in the lab with other Barry, and he's recreating the entire thing about his accident. He's like,
Mhm.
okay, I was here, the windows were open and all that stuff, and then this happened.
It's all crazy how they did that, right? The
And
crazy.
how about when Barry tries to run after losing his powers, and he's just doing the goofy run around the building
Yeah, that was
where he tries to
no.
phase through. How about when they show you on the molecular level them phasing through a wall?
Oh my God. That that was a crazy. Did you see that?
My thing, he didn't have to do that, Muschietti, but the very fact that he chose to was awesome. Because again, we've seen him phase through walls. We just never seen on the molecular level what that looks like, and he showed it.
And yeah, and my God, it looks great.
It looks so cool.
So cool.
And
Um,
I also like, because my concern with this movie when I saw the trailers was, how are they going to explain the blue lightning to orange lightning? They explained it really well by saying it's just the suit, because the suit is like channeling his speed force energy and expelling it, so it's not like building up too fast. And I guess that it's like a filter.
yeah, it's what I also like is about the flash shoot ring when it comes out, and he's like it pops out and then it drops. It goes
Yeah,
in the suit.
yeah, and then and then goes, "You're supposed to get it on before it falls."
Yeah, it's
By the way, I
it's
love the suit. By the way, I think the suit looked fine. It didn't look.
this is
The
this
suits that people, the shots that people picked are like very, very, very short. You know, it's kind of funny. A lot of the scenes that people point to as like bad CGI is like there for like a second. It's
yeah.
not like we're there staring at it.
Shall we go over the fights between General Zod, Batman, or shall we go over the fights with Batman and the two Barrys
I,
breaking
I,
out Kara?
I will. I'm gonna do the breaking out Kara thing, because when Kara rises up and then she just annihilates all those guys, I'm like, oh, this is dope. That
Yeah,
was so. She would throw people around like rag dolls, because that's realistically what would happen, and you just pissed off a Kryptonian. I'm like, yes.
yes, definitely huge inspired from Flashpoint from
Oh
the
yeah,
comic.
absolutely. Because that's what happened in Flashpoint. They break Superman out and he kills his captives.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Um, Batman as well. Oh my God, dive bombing, taking people
Oh,
down, throwing
woo!
the batarang. Oh my
I
God.
also, by the way, speaking of Batarang, I love where back in the Batfleck scene where that criminal's about to run, Batman just throws the Batarang to the side and it comes around and just hits the dude in the head out.
Yeah.
And by the way, I love where Barry 2 moves our Barry, and then Barry starts throwing up because the dude wasn't careful in how he moves people.
Yeah, I just felt like that is so good. It was so good. Like the way that he acted, Ezra
Oh
acted
wait,
as.
we can talk about one scene. How about in the very beginning when Barry from Central City to Gotham? That whole sequence where he's like running really far,
And running on water.
running on water. We saw that. I was like, yeah, that is dope. Visual, the Speed Force scenes were some of my favorite scenes in this movie.
Yeah, I agree. Visually, it looks amazing and stunning even more because it was just great.
Yeah, and it really adds to that. Let me put it this way: it adds on to what Zach did in the Snyder cut. So I'm like, okay, I'm okay with it looking slightly different. Even though if you notice, when he goes back in time the first time and he's in that like blue thing, that blue space, doesn't that look like the at the speed of force scene area?
Yes.
So what I think that was like the first barrier on the barrier to get to the chronal ball. In other words, that was where Barry went in the Snyder cut. It's just he didn't have to go that fast in order to go backwards.
It it was also cool. Like, shall we talk about the cameos or should we save that for a little bit after the Zod
Save
fight?
that for later. Save that for later.
All right, we'll go over the Zod fight then, because I think
Yeah,
that's something we need to talk about. Oh my God, where should we kick it off?
I love that. By the way, I love that. I love. I'll tell you. So everyone was complaining about Barry's suit, about Barry 2's suit. I love where he tries to turn his head and the suit is like scrunched up because that suit can't turn his head.
He can't turn his head.
They
No.
were making that joke, and then Barry just rips it off. He's like, "No, I'm done."
Yeah, and but what was cool is like when he tried to scissor the ears off.
Yeah, I love where there's epic music. He's repainting the suit, and then it just hard cuts to him trying to cut the ears off.
Yeah, before he goes into battle, which I find that hilarious. Um, but yeah, that fight scene though was, oh my God, it was crazy. First, you got to see Kara going to the place where Zod met Kal-El in the desert,
Yeah,
and all hell break loose.
And I love how this scene basically makes it so Kara was the Codex. The Codex went into Kara. So I'm like, okay. And they show how they were going to get it out of Clark. And I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
And first off, I love Michael Shannon back as Zod. And Feora, man.
And Ferora and Non.
Yeah. By the way, where they show that when the Batwing is doing barrel rolls, Keaton himself is staying upright. It's just the ship itself rotates.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Or he rotates.
Or he rotates, yeah.
Which
I like that. That was pretty cool. And I like how this scene did the whole other Barry going back in time multiple times and having crap like stuck in his arm, like he then has that little blade.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm. And I also love the scene was in the trailer when Barry and Barry 2 touch boots, and then it's like the lightning goes out everywhere, and then there's like a bass drop.
Yo, yes.
Visual effects in this were so good. Where Barry's like blasting him with that energy when he has the Black Adam symbol.
Yes.
I had to say it's the Black Adam symbol. There you go. People of Kahndaq.
People of Kahndaq. Yes, it's a good reference there, by the way.
Yeah. And I love how going to the Speed Force in the Chrono Ball scene. Actually, wait. I love where Kara goes, "What did you do?" And then when she finds out that he killed Superman, you see her eyes slowly turn red, and then laser beam out, kind of like in the Snyder Cut when Superman first shows up, and you see in the background his heat vision's on.
Yes,
I love that. All of this is like, if people say that this was disrespectful to the Snyderverse, they're just lying, because I got news for you. This was a tribute to the Snyderverse.
Yeah, this was a tribute, not homage, to the Snyder, to Man of Steel in more ways than one.
Because remember, Muschietti saw the Snyder Cut so much that he went back and did reshoots to canonize Snyder Cut.
Yes,
which makes sense because he went back in time in that. And he's okay. I'll work with that.
Yeah, pretty much. But shall we talk about the cameos?
Yeah, we're getting to there. We're in that part now. So Barry 2 tries to go back in time multiple times to save Kara and Keaton and his mom, I assume. And he keeps getting like messed up, and there's stuff like building on him. And then we see Black Flash. Actually, we saw Black Flash in the scene when Barry is running back after saving his mom, and then he knocks Barry out of the Chrono Ball. So I dug that. And then we get the explanation on who Black Flash is and what that suit is. Because that suit is just crap that was accumulated onto him when he kept going back in time.
Yeah, like it was spreading like a virus.
Yeah. And I dug that. And then now we can talk about the cameos, because Nicolas Cage fighting a giant spider. That was a deep cut, baby.
That was cool. Nicolas Cage surprised me the most.
Now, let me ask you this. What did you think of them using George Reeves and Christopher Reeves as for cameos? And Adam West? Because I get some people have issues with that because they're dead actors and such, and that's one of the issues Nick has with the movie. But what are your opinions on that particular component?
I think it's a little bit disrespectful, unless the family gave consent,
which they have to.
Which they have to, yes.
Legally, they have to give consent for them to use their likeness for the movie.
Yeah. So it was like, I'm just like, okay.
Which here's the way you can kind of take that is that this could also encourage people to see that haven't seen those movies to seek out those movies and those versions. Like there's a whole generation of people that haven't watched Christopher Reeve's Superman,
or they haven't seen Helen Slater's Supergirl.
Yeah, which no one should watch that because I heard that movie's horrible. But my point is that I'm not saying that Warner Brothers used it for marketing, but I do think that it has an added let me put it this way. I don't have as much of an issue with it because I know that legally that the family had to give permission for what they wanted to do. So the family knew what they were. If it was really disrespectful to the actual person, the family would have said something.
Yeah, for sure. But there was one cameo appearance that was not supposed to be in the film, and that was not shot by the actor.
Which was that again?
The CW Flash.
Oh yeah, you mean the Jay Garrick thing?
Yeah, the actor came out on Twitter or on social media basically saying, or did an interview basically saying, "Oh, I never did any shooting for the Flash,"
Mm-hmm.
and he was kind of surprised, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
And most of it was AI generated, by the way, guys. Most of the cameos. But
Mm-hmm.
apparently, we were going to get more than the cameos that we were going to get in the film, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
than from the ones we got. But
Which, by the way, I think what they should do is release all of the deleted scenes on the DVD release.
4 hour cut,
And
Muschietti
in
cut.
other words, and by deleted scenes, I also mean all the alternate endings with like Henry, Gal, Keaton, Sasha Kaye, all of them.
Yes. But as well, I was going to mention this is the way Flash went back in time. I think he changed the Batman 89 and 1978 Superman films because those were connected in the comics. 78 and 89 are connected movies apparently,
But
right?
remember, but is the 1989 is the Michael Keaton universe he goes to really the 89 universe?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. I think they are just using that for like fun
No,
and Easter egg to bring him back. I
yeah.
don't think that is the same universe.
No, I don't think so either. But what was cool though was like in the cameos as well. Uh, like Nick Cage. I thought,
Killing the giant spider.
yeah. Who
And if
else
it
was
was apparently in the in the ballpoint of his world, you could see him fighting Doomsday. Because remember, that movie's supposed to start off with him killing Doomsday.
Oh yeah, but he turns around and he sees what's happening in the
Mhm.
Flash movie.
So does Reeves and Slater.
Yeah, so it's all cool. So I mean, I think a little bit disrespectful, but not as disrespectful as that people make it out to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, let me put it this way: as again, the family had to give permission. If they were doing anything that they felt uncomfortable, that the families felt uncomfortable with, the families would not have given permission. They would have found something else to do.
Yeah.
I think
Uh,
people are just upset that like you could bring back Reeve and Cage, but not Henry Cavill.
but Cavill was in the film.
Yeah, well, I think what they should have done when they thought that Cavill was going to come back is they should have shot him in the beginning of the movie, like showing up to help with cleanup, instead of at the end. That would be setting up.
Yes.
That would have been a better use of Cavill, so they wouldn't have cut that out. Because reportedly, the reason why they cut out the Cavill and Gal scene is because it was setting up a Man of Steel 2. Which I'm like,
Right.
I still want that, but that's
Yeah.
the point.
Um.
And he's frozen again, but that's fine. But all in all, I mean, I get why they wanted to take that
Yeah.
out because they didn't want to set up like anything that they weren't going to fulfill. I still think they could have like reshot the scene and said, "Hey, make this a good goodbye."
Yeah.
They could have at least reshot those scenes with Gal and Henry and said, "Okay, so just
What's your thoughts on the ending of the film?
okay." I didn't like the post-credit scene with Aquaman.
No, the ending, not the
Oh,
post-credit scene.
oh, you mean Clooney showing up? By the way,
Yeah.
hashtag Sil was right.
Hashtag Sil Abdul was right. So we're gonna say that right now.
I do
Sil
love when Barry and I love they saved the F-bomb for this part where he goes, "Who the F is this guy?" Because he's seen like 4 Batmen at this point. He's like, "Who is this guy now?"
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I got it.
and
I'm like,
and you know who makes a cameo appearance?
who?
Andy Muschietti.
Oh yeah, I saw that. And I was like, okay, I see. Yeah, Flash grabs his hot dog as he runs in. And you
Yeah.
notice they show why this universe changed. Barry took all of the tomatoes and put them on the top shelf so his father would reach up so they could see his face.
Yes.
So that's why they changed the Batman, because some part of it was changed. And it was kind of sudden when his tooth came out. I was like, okay, that's the one thing I could have done without, but okay, fine.
But yeah, like this film was like crazy. Like to see George Clooney return. Like
Which it's just for that scene. He's not going to be the DCU Batman. By
I
the
know,
way,
but just to see his return as Bruce Wayne, like come on.
he should have brought out a bad critic. But if you notice, when Barry's on the phone with Bruce, he sounds very much like Michael Keaton.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm thinking they probably didn't change the voice on the phone. Which I'm like, okay, I got it if he speaks low enough, and plus it's not like we hear it that much.
Yes.
So
So
by the way, going to the post credit, if you
yes.
notice, Barry says something very interesting to Arthur at the end.
Go on.
He says, I went through all these different worlds and I saw all these different Bruce. They're all different from our Bruce Wayne.
Oh.
So what I think that means is that the post-credit scene takes place after Flash gets back to the Snyderverse. Because why is he saying our Batman to Arthur?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? The way he said it.
Yeah.
The way he pointed that out is, I was just like,
He said our.
our, not
Now, the rest of the
his.
scene is crap. I don't like Aquaman being like a drunk guy that like falls into water. I know he has been drunk. The first time we see him in the Snyder Cut, he's like downing a thing of whiskey. But I think they even referenced like he can't get drunk or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
I can't remember either,
But
but
the point is, I didn't necessarily enjoy that part. But again, that one scene, that one line has me thinking. Now, it could be he's just saying our because it's still his Arthur. But still, I'm like, it's interesting how they included that.
yes, it is the way.
And which, again, what this movie does, it establishes that the Snyderverse exists in a separate reality. If we want to go back to it, we can.
Yes.
Because anyone that tells you that this erases the Snyderverse is lying. This doesn't even erase any of the worlds that were colliding, because remember that they reseparate and heal.
It doesn't erase the Snyderverse, and it does not erase Keaton's universe.
It doesn't erase any universe. Not any of them.
Yes.
But I do like how this movie's comparing it to Spider-Man dealt with canon events, like some stuff that has to happen no matter what. Like there has to be a Batman. Superman has to show up and all that. I dug that a lot.
It's supposed to be canon.
We need to fire the cannon.
I don't have that clip.
I need that clip of Zach. By the way, if you guys haven't seen the Rebel Moon teaser from Tadam, it's awesome. So, all in all, I rate this movie a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. I love this movie so much. It's tied with the Snyder Cut as my favorite DC movie.
Yeah, I rate this film a 8.5, maybe a 9 out of 10, just purely because of action, the lore, the cameos.
It treats Zach's movies with respect, which I know
Yes.
I shouldn't like expect that, because it should be like, yeah, go ahead.
And the bump up is for the Wonderbat scene too.
My bump up is because it very obviously canonizes the Snyder Cut. Like they're not even hiding it. That it's some people could say it keeps it like general, which Justice League they're talking about. No. Any reference to Justice League in this movie is clearly the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, which is a high pointage for me. But what bumps it up to even 9? It's the Wonderbat scene. Come on, Jack.
And my score is not affected by that scene because it's just a short, like 1 second thing. So I'm like, okay,
it's the 1 point.
Yeah, I know, and it doesn't affect my score because again, it's not like that big of a deal. It's not that big of a thing. And by the way, for those who don't know, I really act up my hatred of Wonder Bat for the comedic reasons.
Yeah, and for this reason, we can play it here. It's on the podcast. This is Jared's reaction to whenever there's a Wonder Bat.
Podcast. So we'll see what happens with that.
May the force be with you, Wonder Bat.
Did you
Yes.
just break our bet terms?
No, because this is on the podcast, not on my channel.
Oh, it's on the podcast channel. Okay. Okay.
So
I should have enumerated that more on the terms of the bet.
yes, but that is his reaction whenever people bring up Wonder Bat.
Oh, I
So-
did in the movie theater. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. So for me, it's an 8.5 or a 9
Mhm.
out of 10.
I dug it. Well done, Muschietti. Thank you very much.
Well done, Andy Muschietti and Barbara Muschietti.
Mhm.
We gotta mention that. So we're moving
And
over.
notice,
to-
wait, real quick. Did you guys see that earlier, before the movie came out, they were doing an interview about Ben Affleck coming back as Batman, and then someone said, "Oh, this is interesting. It's sad this is gonna be his last time playing the role." And then Barbara went, "Who said it's gonna be his last time playing the role?"
Oh God, the tease.
They said with the multiverse, we could always come back to this, and I'm like, Are you telling? Because this is coming. This is also after he was confirmed being the director for Brave and the Bold. Which, after seeing the Batman scenes in this movie alone, I'm like, yes, give this man the Batman movie. I'm totally. Give this team the Batman movie. I am 100% on board with that.
Yes, for sure. So with that being said, so that's our review of the Flash.
And by the way, Comics League will be doing one on Monday at 5 p.m.